So the CARV 2 tactical rifle has just dropped in Cold War and Warzone Season 3, so today I'll show you guys the best class setup for this weapon, because with the right attachments this weapon is extremely good, it's super fast killing, and it's a great all-round tactical rifle in the game. So be sure to stick around until the end of the video to see my best class setup for the CARV Point 2, because I'm going to have separate class setups for Cold War and Warzone, but I will also have timestamps in the description, so if you're only interested in either the Warzone or the Cold War class setup, then feel free to check that out in the description. Similarly, if you need to actually unlock this weapon via the challenge, I made a guide on how to do that easily if you need help with that, so check that out if you need to. And if you need to unlock any camos for this weapon, be sure to check out my camo guides playlist. There'll be a card for that on screen and a link in the description. Now if you're interested in getting this weapon gold or diamond, I've got a guide for that too, and similarly if you need to level it up to get certain attachments, you'll want to visit the video which has a card on screen now, or there'll be a link for this in the description. And finally, I'm doing a Season 3 COD Points Giveaway, and if you're interested in winning some COD points, there'll be rules for that in the description if you need to check that out. But without further ado, let's get into this class setup. So we're going to first start with multiplayer, then we'll move on to Warzone, but like I say, obviously you can jump between with the chapters and with the timestamps in the description. For multiplayer then in Cold War, the class setup you're going to want to put on, in my opinion, is the CARV 2 obviously is the tactical rifle, and then for the attachments I would first put on the infantry compensator as the muzzle, and this increases the vertical recoil control but with a downside of reduced horizontal recoil control. I'd then put on the 18.9-inch titanium barrel to increase the fire rate, but the drawback would be that you have a reduced effective damage range. After this I'd put on the SAS mag clamp to give you reload quickness, so you can reload faster, and a simultaneous increase in max starting ammo, so you get one extra mag. But the downside to this would be a very slight reduced aim down sight speed of about 6%, so it's nothing really to worry about. We're also going to combat that with the Serpent Wrap, and what this does is it reduces your aim down sight time, so basically you're faster at aim down sight, but this will increase your sprint to fire time. But don't worry, because we're going to finally put on the CQB stock, which reduces your sprint to fire time at a cost of reduced hipfire accuracy by about 15%, but obviously this is not a big issue because we're not going to be hip firing with this weapon anyway, so I really wouldn't worry about that too much. For the secondary, it doesn't really matter what you put on. You could put on a launcher like the RPG or the M79 as the special, or you can put on a shotgun like the Hauer or Gallo. It's up to you guys, whatever you guys want to put on. And then for the equipment, I'd put on a C4 for the lethal and then a stim shot for the tactical, so that you can heal yourself and you're less likely to die in the middle of a gunfight. I'd put on the field mic for the field upgrade, so you can see enemies in your vicinity and kind of track them and get more kills. It's not crucial, it's not essential, but it will help get you some kills. And then I put on the perk greed wildcard, so you can get an extra 3 perks, 1 in each slot. Now for the first perk category, I've put on tactical mask, which maximizes your resistance to flashbangs and stun grenades, and you're also immune to the gas. I've then gone for the flak jacket, so you can take less damage from enemy explosives, but also Molotov and combat bow flames. For perk 2, I've gone for scavenger to replenish ammo from fallen players, so it obviously helps you have more ammo with this weapon so you can go on higher streaks, but at the same time I've also put on tracker, so you can see an imprint of enemy footsteps and you can aim at enemies to reveal them on your team's minimap. Obviously that can help your team as well, but the main thing is obviously the footsteps, to see where they're going and to kind of track the enemies to get more kills. And then in perk 3 I've gone for ghost, so you're undetectable by enemy spy planes whenever you're moving, planting or defusing bombs or controlling score streaks. And then I've also gone for ninja, where you sprint more quietly and you're resistant to field mics, so you can just stay off the radar and you're more likely to live. Now for the score streaks, you can put on whatever you want, but I went for the spy plane, the strafe run and the harp. You know, they help you find enemies, and the strafe run is quite good for getting kills when you're already on a streak, so it kind of complements your gameplay, but whatever you guys choose, it's up to you. So that's multiplayer. What about Warzone then? What is the best class setup for Warzone? Well, in my opinion, you're going to want to put on, for the attachments, first of all, the Vision Tech 2X optic. You can then put on the agency silencer for the muzzle, and this suppresses your sound, but it increases your vertical recoil control and bullet velocity, and also effective damage range as well. So that's all good for the gun, but this is at a cost of reduced aim down sight speed and aiming stability. We've then gone for the 20.8-inch strike team barrel. So what this does is it increases your fire rate first of all, and that's a secret bonus which is not mentioned in the menu, so at the moment it won't say that at all, but currently that is how the barrel works. This may change if they update it. For now, take it as it is. It also does increase your effective damage range, as the menu actually suggests. And then finally, the game says that this barrel increases your bullet velocity, but people have done testing and found that this is false. So it doesn't increase your bullet velocity, it probably does increase your effective damage range, but it definitely does currently increase your fire rate, which is kind of weird, but that's how it is. So that's the barrel I've put on. The cost for this is a reduced sprinting move speed and aim walking movement speed. Moving on, we've got the serpent wrap for the rear grip, and this reduces your aim down sight time, but the drawback is you have a higher sprint to fire time. Finally, we've gone for the jungle style mag for the ammunition, and this gives you faster reload speed, and there are no cons to this attachment. The secondary for this class doesn't matter too much. You could go for something like an SMG, so for example the Bullfrog or a Mac-10. You could also put on an assault rifle such as an FFAR, or you can put on a sniper for like really long ranges to complement this weapon. So any of these are fine. I went for the Mac-10 as an SMG in this case because that's the one I had to hand, but if I had the Bullfrog leveled up, I would probably use that instead. So it's up to you guys, you could use whatever you guys want, but those are just some suggestions for the secondary. And then for the perks, I put on EOD in perk 1, which allows you to take reduced damage from non-kill streak explosives and fire. I've gone for overkill in the second category to carry 2 primary weapons, as you guys know obviously. And then in perk 3 I've gone for amped, which allows you to swap weapons faster, so this can be good in high activity, high demand situations. If you're dealing with a lot of enemies and either you haven't reloaded or you need to change your combat in terms of whether you're firing further away or closer, then obviously you can switch and you can do that more quickly with this perk. For the equipment, I've put on a thermite grenade for the lethal and a stim shot for the tactical, and then for the field upgrade, if you're using it, I've put on the stopping power field upgrade, and what this does is it allows your rounds to do extra damage, so it's great at improving the damage at a further distance for enemies. So it's really good, especially if you're trying to take out enemies at the longer ranges. But like I say, again, this isn't crucial, it's up to you guys what you go for. I finally got some just kind of general tips for the weapon in terms of both multiplayer and Warzone, so whatever class you're using, this will be helpful. First of all, this gun has impressive iron sights, so you don't need an optic in Cold War like I say, but in Warzone you could do without it, but you're probably better still to use it. So I would use one for Warzone, but not for Cold War. It's great at the close quarters combat and at the medium to long distances, but if you guys want longer ranges, you'll have to change a few of the attachments because this is built towards more like medium distance. But like I say, feel free to change it to a longer distance if you want to. You could do it with this, but obviously the recoil is part of the problem, as we'll talk about in just a second. Now this gun has a really fast time to kill due to the high burst firing rate. However, like I say, the recoil with this weapon is higher than the other tactical rifles, and therefore you want to make sure that you counteract this by aiming slightly lower on the enemy than you normally would. So if you're going to aim for their head, like aim for their chest or below. And you can also lower the rate at which you fire your weapon, so don't tap the trigger as fast, do it a little bit slower, leave it a little bit more time between bursts, and that way it allows the gun to relax between the firing of bursts, which reduces your recoil because the combined bursts augment the recoil that you experience. If you just keep tapping it really fast, the recoil adds and adds and adds, and it gets higher and higher. It's one of the biggest recoil patterns currently compared to the other tactical rifles, if not the biggest. So you want to reduce this if you can, so that you can kill enemies at the further distances if you need to. But I would say that regardless, I was frequently winning gunfights at close ranges, which you kind of wouldn't expect with this weapon, especially when I was coming up against, solid assault rifles and SMGs, but it was still decent. So be confident with this class when you're rocking it in Cold War or Warzone, especially at the close quarters combat ranges. Overall though, I think this is a very strong class setup. I'd highly recommend not missing out on it, and if you guys use it, you'll see that it's easy to get kills and it's easy to go on streaks in Cold War and Warzone, so definitely try it out and let me guys know your feedback on the class or the weapon in the comments section. Thank you all so much for watching. If you found this class setup useful, be sure to drop a like on the video to help me out and help others find the class setup. And if you're interested, I have plenty of other videos, so for example, like I said, the gold or diamond camo guide for the COD Points 2 tactical rifle. If you need help with any of those camos, there'll be a guide for that. I've also done one on how to unlock the weapon if you guys haven't already, so check that out if you need to. And I've got loads of other Cold War multiplayer, zombies and Warzone guides, in addition to like camo guides, weapon unlock tips, best class setups and other stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that, feel free to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these upcoming videos in Cold War and Warzone. But thank you so much for watching, hope you found it useful, and I'll see you guys all on the next video.